Hi all, my name is Sarah Roberts and I chose teacher-generated formative and summative assessments for this week's Jigsaw discussion board. Teacher assessments, as long as you're in a classroom, are something we all pretty much use already, whether it be on a daily basis, a weekly basis, whatever it might be. This could be a quick check-in. Do you understand what we just went over, we just learned? Or it could be an overall check-in. Did you understand the whole chapter? Did you understand the whole unit? Or even a midterm and a final, what have you learned so far this year? These are really helpful because we can do a quick check-in. It doesn't have to be time consuming, just to see, are we hitting the standards, the lessons that we want to, or do we need to go back and readapt some of our teaching? And that kind of what makes them special. We were able to really narrow down to specific standards and recognize if students are mastering these standards. Um, and again, it's something we can continue to grow, learn, and change from these results. This is an example of a quantitative data collection tool, not strategy. Um, Two of the big questions that it might be able to help you answer is the effects of your intervention. So if you were to give a pre and a post test, you would use the same test and hopefully see a change in student results um, in the better. So, obviously, if they were making strides, what was that intervention that you implemented? And did it work across the board or was just a few students? And in the opposite, did you not notice improvement? Was that intervention helping at all? Was it actually hurting? Or was it just an extra tool that may or not be used in the best way? Um, This could also be a tool to monitor progress throughout a research project. You can notice if there's any patterns, whether it be location, environment, whether it's the time, maybe it's how much time a student is working with the intervention or tool that you're implementing. Um, and as you're going, you can make a note if there's anything that needs to change, whether for yourself or for your students or how it's being implemented. There, I think, are a lot of strengths and weaknesses to teacher generated assessments. Um, some of the strengths that I really thought stood out to me was if the test is created and implemented correctly, it is not a subjective matter. You're going to get results. You're going to see what the students do and do not understand. And that goes with the second point. It really highlights certain standards and whether or not they understand it. There's not really room to wiggle and say, well, maybe if they got it right, they understand it. If they didn't get it right, they don't understand it. Another strength is it can be aligned to what you are teaching in your classroom. Obviously, there are curriculum provided ones, and that's one of the weaknesses that I state below. That you may be given a curriculum, but maybe you do not hit all of those points or you don't teach those. I know for seventh grade in Pennsylvania, we need to teach angle relationships. That's not something in our curriculum, so that's something we needed to add. So the curriculum provided does not assess everything that we needed to. While my teacher created assessment, I'm able to see that my students actually understand everything we learned in my classroom. So as I just mentioned, some of the weaknesses, I probably should put them in a different order. One of them was the curriculum provided assessments. There might be extra standards in those tests, and you're not going to be able to pinpoint the standards that you worked on. If it's asking questions about previous standards, that's not what you're working on right now. That might not be what the intervention is working on right now. So that might not help. As I just used in my example, I know in seventh grade math, our curriculum does not align with state standards. So I usually have to add things to my curriculum or I need to take things out to make sure it aligns with the Pennsylvania standards. One thing that I'm actually seeing in my own classroom is our school does not necessarily provide paper tests anymore. They want us to do it all online. As active as I am in my classroom to observe, I know students are tech savvy and they are finding different ways to get around the system. So that kind of goes with AI and other sources. Are the students completing these assessments or is AI or Google completing them? So doing a typical traditional assessment, are we actually getting true data back? Or are we getting data back from an AI or Google search? And I think one of the biggest weaknesses to any type of assessment, whether it be teacher generated or standardized, is test anxiety. I have plenty of students and plenty of experience that I could tell you everything we learned like the back of my hand. But as soon as you tell me I'm taking a test and you put a piece of paper in front of me, I forget everything. So that could be another weakness affecting the results. The two biggest concerns that I had through validity and reliability for validity, oh my goodness, um, is to make sure that we are focusing on the skills that we want to test, the standards that we want to test. So I use an example, a different one here. If we are focusing on combining like terms, making sure that we know all of our X's go together, all of our Y's go together, I shouldn't be adding in questions about distribution and factoring because, yes, that goes with combining terms, but that's like a next step. I just want to make sure my students understand that X's go together, the Y's go together, and so on. So to make sure it's a valid assessment and will go with your data and align with your research, you need to make sure you are only focusing on the skills and the standards that you are focusing on, not throwing in extra stuff just to make it a bigger assessment. If it's only 3 questions, it's only 3 questions. You can then see, do the students understand? As for reliability, um, noticing across classes, same grade, different classes. Do we notice any patterns? Um, are grades different in each class across the board? Or is one class doing really well while the other one is not doing so well in the same test? So the question is, what's happening in those two? Is it the test? Is it the environment? Is it something else? So we need to kind of go in and make sure that they are reliable, the test itself, and it's not some outside factor that's affecting these large discrepancies. Hopefully there are none. Um, Questions at the level they should be. So if I'm making the test, you're hoping that I'm keeping it to the level of my students, but without knowing it, I might be almost making it easier for my students. So then am I actually testing them on the level that they should be? Am I pushing them to get to the understanding I need to see for their grade level? Even my phrasing, I say it all the time, I know I'm a math teacher. So if I were to create this assessment myself, am I making it clear? Is it a reliable phrasing for my students? And then finally, is there any kind of bias? Again, if I have a certain answer that I want to see, math, we're big on showing your work. Am I looking for specific steps to see? And if so, am I the only one, or is that across the board? Is that a district wide, statewide, making sure we're all looking for the same answer, the same outcome, or the same process? So they could be a good source of learning and understanding where our students are. However, we do just need to make sure we are double checking, maybe talking with our peers and so on to ensure that we're doing the best for our students and getting data that's actually going to help us improve and move forward.